channel. It is so nice to meet you if you are here for the first time. I am Jill Baird, and this is the third day of the second week of our 4-week Fit in 15 program. So on Fridays, we always have a yoga sculpt workout. So today's workout is a combination of stretch moves and sculpting moves. The intention of the workout is to increase our mind-body connection by linking breath to movement, and I will also be giving some cues about which muscle groups we should be engaging and which muscle groups we will be stretching at the same time. My two canine partners are Fiona, who is a regular in my videos, a regular snoozer, and Charlie, who doesn't always like to make an appearance in the videos, so we'll see what she does today. The only piece of equipment you're going to need for this workout is a mat, and just make sure you have a little bit of space around you. We will be doing some twisting where our arms, hands, legs will be off of the mat. If you enjoy listening to music during your workouts, now is the time to get that music started. I don't program music into the workouts because I want you to be able to listen to what you enjoy. We are going to be working for 54 seconds, and we'll have 6 seconds to move on to the next movement. So it's not a traditional yoga flow. If you would like to try out one of my yoga flows after this workout, I've linked a card up here, and I will also link some additional yoga videos, including some sculpt videos, at the end of this workout. Friends, we're going to get started on our hands and knees on the mat. So why don't you go ahead and get down on your hands and knees while I get our timer going. And we're going to bring our right fingertips behind our right ear for a thoracic rotation. Drop the right shoulder into its socket. Take a nice deep inhale as you lift the elbow towards the ceiling. And exhale, bring that elbow to the left wrist. Keep your hips from shaking side to side by giving your buns a little squeeze. Inhale, peel open. And exhale, contract. Belly button pulls back. Elbow draws to wrist. And we're not pressing on the outside of our head. We are pressing the mat away with that left hand. Peel open. Exhale and twist. Inhale, peel it open. Exhale and twist. All right, we're going to sit back into a child's pose, so a nice stretch. Big toes to touch, knees out wide. Hips onto the heels as you thread that right arm underneath the left, coming to rest on the outside of the right shoulder. So feeling a nice deep opening in the right shoulder as well as the hips. And then go ahead and extend your left fingertips out in line with your left shoulder and spiral that left underarm down towards the mat so you feel a stretch underneath the left shoulder as well. So a nice deep opening in the outer right shoulder and an opening in the trapezius muscle on the left side as well. Now bring your attention to your breath and see if you can just slow it by matching your inhales and your exhales. Okay, carefully unthread. Come back up to that tabletop, and this time we'll do the thoracic rotation on the left. Left fingertips behind the ear. Inhale, peel open, and exhale, twist that left elbow to the right wrist. Inhale, peel open, and exhale, twist. So the oblique muscles are turning on, the deep core muscles are turning on. And we're getting a nice thoracic rotation, so some gentle movement in that thoracic spine. So think belly button and up for the rotation. The low back isn't twisting. The low back is staying neutral. And giving a good press into the right hand. All 5 fingers spread nice and wide. All right, child's pose round 2. Big toes to touch, knees wide. And oops, I'm gonna have to scoot up. This time we're gonna thread the left arm underneath the right. So feeling first that deep stretch in the outer left shoulder. Gently rest the left temple on the mat. Don't wrench your neck. And then go ahead and spider crawl those right fingertips in front of the right shoulder. And then spiral that underarm on the right side down towards the mat so that you begin to feel this stretch in this outer trapezius muscle. And slow your breath. Inhaling, think about finding length from your tailbone to the crown of your head. And as you exhale, think about twisting just a little bit deeper. So maybe you walk those left fingertips over towards the right. All right, we're gonna come up, back into a tabletop, and we're gonna hover in that table or bear. So tuck your toes, knees hover 1 or 2 inches off the mat. Corkscrew the hands into the mat. So we want the pinkies facing the long edge of the mat. The pointer finger, index finger, is lengthening towards the front of the mat. Slight tuck under in the tailbone, scoop up in the low abs. And if you need to drop your knees for a moment, drop your knees for a moment. Think about really opening up the upper back by pressing into the palms and separating the shoulder blades. Continue that slow and steady breath, even as we work deep into our muscles here. All right, come down to your knees for just a moment. We're gonna come into a downward facing dog. So hips up and back, creating that upside down V. Take a nice deep bend in your knees. Bring your belly button towards your thighs. Notice the length that you just created as you did that from your fingertips to your tailbone. Think about keeping that length as you begin to straighten into the knees. The heels never have to touch the ground. And you can pedal 1 foot by bending 1 knee deeply as the other heel comes to the mat and then switching it out. Gaze back between your feet or up towards your belly button, whatever feels better for you. And again, think about those slow, steady breaths, matching the inhale to the exhale. So what I mean by that is the count of the inhale. So now we're gonna step our right foot up between our hands and come up into a high lunge. Make a little bend in the back knee, tuck the tailbone under, and then press through the heel behind you. So this is the same shape we make in a lunge in a workout. Squeeze the right glute, squeeze the left glute. And now we're gonna just add in a little bit of movement here. So on an exhale, bring your elbows together. Maybe you hover that left knee. And then inhale, press into the right heel, open up, lift. Exhale. And then inhale. Press into that front right heel to bring yourself up. All right, now we're going to open up into a warrior 2 on the right side. So heel to arch alignment. Peek down at this knee on the right side and make sure that it's not caving in. Give a press into the pinky edge of the right foot to make sure the knee opens. Tailbone tucks under. Press into the pinky edge of the left foot. And then imagine that you're pulling the mat together with both feet to really activate the inner thighs. Gaze out gently over the right fingertips and you let, yes, our legs are starting to shake. This is a strengthening pose for the front leg and it's a stretching pose for the back leg. Even though we are working into that back leg, we're getting some stretch in the hip flexors. All right, we're gonna windmill those palms down to the mat. We're gonna step into a high plank, and then we're gonna bring our hips back towards our heels, come into a downward facing dog. Shift forward into a plank, bend the knees, hips back towards the heels, sort of like a a child's pose, and then come into a downward facing dog. And let's flow with your own breath. Inhale forward, exhale as the hips come towards the heels, and then the hips come up towards the sky in the downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale, and you can have an open mouth exhale. Typically in our yoga practice, we use a closed mouth exhale, but since we are sculpting a bit here, it's probably a little bit more difficult to keep the lips sealed. All right, now we're going to step the left foot to the left thumb. Feet hip width distance apart, come up into a lunge. So bend the back knee, tuck the tailbone under, and then straighten the back leg. Pull the back toes forward, pull the front heel back. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, elbows in towards the sides. Back knee hovers, squeeze the front glute. Inhale to lift. Exhale, hover. Inhale, squeeze the glutes and lift. Exhale. And inhale. And at any time you can drop the back knee if it's too much to have it lifted. All right, warrior two. So 90-degree bend in the front knee, which is the left knee. Back leg is straight. The back toes are slightly turned in. And even though the back leg is rotating in, I want you to think about opening the fronts of the hips by tucking the tailbone down towards the mat. Drop the shoulder blades into their sockets, hug them in towards one another, and then imagine that someone is pulling your fingers in opposite direction as you continue to hug those shoulder blades in towards one another. Scoop the low belly in, gaze out over the left fingertips, and breathe. Legs should be shaking. Lots of strengthening in the front inner thigh, glute, and quadricep. All right, windmill the palms down, and we're going to come into a pigeon pose on the right side. So right leg lifts from that downward facing dog, shin towards the front of the mat, and you want the knee to be as bent as it needs to be to keep the fronts of the hips facing forward. So we don't want to straighten the leg and then have our body straighten the shin to parallel and have our body open towards the right. We want both hip points facing forward. And depending on the tightness or the flexibility in your hips, you can be up on your fingertips or you can come down onto your forearms. I want you to think about keeping this space, though, between the right glute and the mat. We don't want to dump the right glute down onto the mat. We want to keep a little space between the glute and the mat and then the left hip and the mat. All right, so we're going to come back into a downward facing dog, and then we're going to take that pigeon pose on the left. So left knee towards left wrist, and then the left ankle towards the right wrist. Lengthen the right leg back behind you, and then make sure that both hip points are facing forward. And then you can begin to surrender down onto your elbows if you can keep your breath steady. But if you come down onto your elbows and you notice, oh my gosh, this hurts so bad, my breathing is getting short and choppy, walk yourself back up onto your palms and find a spot where you're comfortable enough to breathe slowly and steadily. And if you're not, then shift onto your back and take a figure four, which we did in last week's 15-minute yoga series. All right, we're going to carefully come back into that downward facing dog. Walk ourselves through to a seat. Come to lie on our back. Keep the left leg extended. Hug the right knee in towards the chest. And as you do that, flex the right toes back towards your knee. Flex the left toes back towards your knee. So that left leg is active, the right leg is active. And you can hold the knee in, or if you'd like to take a gentle twist, extend your right arm out like a goalpost or a T, depending on what you have space for. And then twist your right toes over towards the left. Your gaze can be up towards the ceiling, or your gaze can be out towards that right hand. So I want you to think about creating space along this right side body, but I don't want you to wrench your low back by forcing that right knee down to the mat. All right, come back onto your back, hug both knees in, reset, and we're going to take that stretch on the opposite side. So left knee hugs in, nice and active in the right leg, so keep those muscles engaged. Lift your kneecap by squeezing the right quad. And then flex all 10 toes back towards your knees. Relax your shoulders, relax the back of your neck. And you can stay here with the left knee hugged in, or if you'd like to take the twist, we're gonna come over to rest those left toes on the mat. If you're super flexible and your left knee comes to the mat, that's great, but we don't wanna force that. And then your gaze can be up towards the ceiling or out towards the left hand. Hollow your low belly, scoop the belly button in, and then slow your breathing. And then carefully hug your knees into your chest, maybe rock side to side, and either roll onto your right side or cross your ankles and roll yourself up to a seat. Thank you for taking these 15 minutes for yourself to strengthen and stretch and create a little bit more of a mind-body connection. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you're looking for a traditional yoga flow, I have a lot of them on my channel. I have linked a yoga flow video here, as well as a Sculpt playlist that you might want to try out. Sculpt is a little bit more of an athletic yoga practice. It incorporates some elements of yoga as well as some strength training and a little bit of high intensity interval cardio movements. I will see you back here on Monday for the beginning of our week 3. Until then, have a fantastic weekend, take good care of yourself, and I will see you soon.